What's going on, Schmoedown fans? Now look, there is no Schmoedown match this Friday, as you can tell as you click on this particular video, but we decided here, myself, Kristian Harloff, and the pit boss, Ken Napzok, joining me today. We're gonna do a ranking special for you guys. I get questions and tweets all the time about who's ranked, who's the top contenders, who are the top teams. So the pit boss and I were like, well, you know what? Let's get into a breakdown here. Let everybody know what the landscape is like in the Schmoedown world of both the teams and the singles. Pit boss, out of both the singles and the teams, we've got a lot of dominant teams, a lot of good performances lately. How are you feeling about the league right now?
I'm feeling it's growing in its excitement, and it's only going to get better as more and more characters and more fighters come in and bring their own area of expertise. Some of the recent debuts just brought the league to a new level. Yeah. What I'm really enjoying about the team competition is that that allows us to bring new people in as well, but it also, it's a different discipline. It's a different thing. You're relying on someone else. Right. You got to trust your partner. You got to have faith in your partner, and that's also could possibly break up teams if things go wrong. That's an added element I really like.
Absolutely. So, and speaking of the teams, so that's how we're going to do it. We're going to go with the team rankings first. It's still a young league as far as teams go, so we're going to go through those teams first, kind of go through the landscape, and then we'll get to singles. So let's start with, here it is, the Team League rankings, the top 10. Now, before we get into the actual top 10, two teams that did not make the list here. First, at 0-2, you've got the Real Rejects, who easily could be 1-1 and might have been on this list had they not been the nice guys.
They're great guys. They're great competitors. They know their stuff. They bring a different taste and flair to the game. But Kristian, I'm a nice guy. I can tell you, I've spent my whole life losing. You got to go for the kill. Put your foot on that neck and twist.
Snap the neck like a chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so another team that easily could be 1-1 on Tuesday would be the Mega Powers, but they got beat so bad in their first match. Destroyed and knocked out in a way that we had to change the rules of the game because it was just so unfair to everyone in life that had to watch that match.
I'll tell you what, the Mega Powers, you know I love those guys.
Yeah.
But it is not Mega Powers colliding. It is Mega Powers kind of limping across the finish line.
They don't seem to be working very well as a team.
You know, and it happened with Macho and Hogan. It could happen with Finstock and Josh. I don't know if they need to find some soul searching needs to go on.
Well, if they can beat the Wangers on Tuesday, they easily could be in this list. That's the benefit of the league being so young. So here is the actual top 10, starting with, we just mentioned them. Now you're going to see a couple of teams in here with a 0 in the front here because it's so young. It's just a matter on how they lost. Number 10, the Wangers, 0-1. A young team, RB3, the youngest member in the league. They barely lost to 6 Degrees. It was a great first showing for them, but they still lost. They need a big win here on Tuesday.
I'll tell you what, Cobster and RB3. Can I just... It's the best I love RB3. Yeah. He's one of the best characters we've got playing in this game. At 19 years of age, he's answering trivia questions about movies that he was a zygote when they came out.
He watches stuff. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
He's impressive. Yeah. And Cobster, those shoulders aren't the only thing he has. He knows his movies, too.
That's a big match. Big match for them on Tuesday to see how the Wangers face against the Mega Powers. All right, coming in at then number 9 would be the Superhero News, a team of Hector and Adam. Again, seemed like they had the match won against Team Trek. They were solid in that first round. Both Hector and Adam answering a lot of great questions, had a solid 2 at the Kubrick round, but had a really bad third round, had a tough round. The Judgment Night people complain about a lot. The scores and soundtrack, John Williams, they missed. So they're on the losing end. They easily could be 1-0.
Hector and Adam are skilled competitors. Yeah. They'll be back. Sometimes it's a game of inches. Just like any other sporting contest, game of inches could easily be 1-0.
Yeah.
Don't count them out.
Coming in at number 8, had you told me that we were going to do a top 10 special like 4 or 5 months ago when we announced the team league, I would have said, oh yeah, well they'll either be the champions or they'll at least be the number 1 ranked contenders. Coming in at number 8 is the Wolves of Steel. Mark Riley and Clark Wolfe have not had a great showing so far in both their win and their loss. Losing that heartbreaking loss to Team Heroes when Heroes got they spun the wheel, they got comic book movies, and it was just a bad luck. And they had bad luck again against the Real Rejects, but luckily enough, the Real Rejects are nice guys.
They are. Yeah. And it cost them, like we said. Clark and Mark.
Right.
You know they got the skills. You know, sometimes, Kristian, you know, you and I are Yankees fans.
Yes.
You go out, you get some of the best free agents, and you put them together, and it sometimes doesn't add up. I'm not doubting Clark and Mark and their skills. I just sometimes wonder, on paper, a team could be better than they actually are in the field. I think their next match, if a loss comes their way,
it could be the end.
You have to reevaluate it.
It could be the end of it. I agree with you. However, if they win, if they can get it together and show the strength that they've both shown before in the past,
sure,
they could be that team again.
Sure.
And we'll find out in 2017 with those guys. All right, so number 7, we just mentioned Team Heroes. 1-1, they had a nice win against Wolves of Steel, but they were completely, it looked like overmatched against the Patriots. A lot of holes shown in their game in that match. I think a match that would work well, Team Heroes versus Superhero News. That's a match I think could be interesting in 2017.
Yeah, like you said, kind of on the same level playing field, and maybe one of them wins and breaks off in a different direction and takes those teams.
All right, then coming in at number 6, Rotten Tomatoes at 2-2. They had a solid performance against the reigning champions right now, top 10. Took them to the limit. Almost looked like they were going to beat them. It was the final question. Top 10 had to hit it, and they did it. But Rotten Tomatoes, Matt Atchity is a powerhouse, and they could be the champions right now.
I've seen Atchity compete in other trivia contests, and it's almost not even close.
Yeah.
He's an anchor on that team, and not taking anything away from his partner Gray. She knows her stuff too. So they're a powerhouse team. I predict they could be a future title holder.
It's very possible. It's just a matter of I actually want to see what Matt Atchity can do in singles competition. Everyone talks about Bibiani. Let's see what Atchity can do in the ring. Coming in at number 5, 6 Degrees. Coming in at 1-0, had a big win against the Wangers. You go, well, why are they higher ranked than Rotten Tomatoes? Well, it was the impressive win that they had. It was the odds were stacked against them. They showed up when the pressure was on, and they've got that 1 and that 0. They haven't been beaten yet. Granted, they've only played one team, but they really showed their knowledge in all, not just musicals. They showed they knew what they were doing in that arena.
Sometimes strength of schedule carries a big weight, and that's just the way this goes. I guess 6 Degrees is kind of an underdog team, but I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair to them. I've known Miss Movies for a long time. You've known Miss Movies for a long time. There's a reason she's called Miss Movies.
Right.
And you have a wonderkin like Stacey Howard at her side. I'm telling you, no one should count them out just because you don't know of them as yet.
Yeah.
That's part of the beauty of this game.
Stacey Howard impressed me as well. There were a lot of things that she knew that it shut down the Wangers for some of the answers that she was able to pull out. Their next match is going to be against Team Trek, which is a big match, and one of those teams, whoever wins, will be going towards that title picture. Which brings us to our number 4 contenders, Team Trek. Team Trek 1-0, had that big win against Superhero News, and I think the experience of Scott Mance, the experience of Jason Inman so far in this league together was the reason they worked well as a team. Jason Inman, who has had okay single matches, was solid in that match and arguably won that match for his team. And they're poised now. Whoever wins that match is going to have a chance to get to that title picture eventually between them and 6 Degrees.
The beauty about the team thing is you take someone like Inman, who is a well-rounded talent, but is just, when it comes to geek stuff and comic book movies and sci-fi, knows his stuff. Then you have Mance, the man of many dates, the man of movie knowledge and classic films. And I've seen Mance compete for a long time now, and I love Scott Mance, but sometimes his enthusiasm gets out in front of him. He makes mathematical errors when it comes to betting. He maybe
lets the crowd get to him.
Shoots out an answer. He is all passion and heart, and sometimes maybe in a team fashion, someone who's calm, cool, and collected, like Jason Inman. This is a team. I don't want to keep saying everyone's a future title holder, but this is a team that I think you're going to see some gold on.
They start to work together a little better, and they sign it, because remember, this is a brand new team where they've decided, because of their love of Star Trek, decided to join together. They seem to be finding that chemistry. We'll find out against 6 Degrees how they're going to fare. Coming in at number 3, someone who's got a vendetta against Scott Mance, Team ETC, Ricky and Elliot. Elliot Dewberry is completely underranked. I think the guy has been someone who strong showing against former champion Mark Riley. He beat Matt Nose, reigning team champion. He's good, and he showed it again with his last team match that they had as well too. So I think that these guys are going to be they're going to be something.
Here's why people overlook them. This goes back to the Schmoedowns of past, before this became a league. is everyone else is in costume and in character, and these guys just kind of waltz in after hard days of work, grab a beer, look around, and say, yeah, we'll play your little games.
Right.
And then they go in and just clean up. And that's why I think people don't look at them as strongly as they should. Elliott's a powerhouse. Ricky knows his stuff. This is a dynamic team.
Yeah, and Real Rejects, again, almost pulled it off against ETC, but ETC, they stuck together, and they took it home. All right, so that leaves us to the number 2 contenders are the Patriots. 2-0, 2 knockouts, getting the title shot against the reigning champions at the Schmoedown Spectacular. The only reason that they're not number 1 right now is just lack of matches. They are a powerhouse. JTE has found a way finally to win, because he certainly can't do it in singles. He joins up with Jeff Snyder in the decision in that match, and Jeff Snyder is easily a candidate for Rookie of the Year. These guys have been crushing people.
I'm laughing because I hate these guys.
Yeah.
These guys you love to hate. They come out there, they make fun. The last time I saw them live, they're making fun of Schnepp and Robert Meyer
limping
injuries.
Yeah.
They're Patriots fans. As a Miami Dolphin fan, that
Right. He's a
sickens
Giants
me
fan, yeah.
on so many levels. But you have to almost love to hate them. No one can doubt that they know their stuff. It's a redemption story for that lovable little mop, JTE.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's something about them. I hate them, but I love them.
Do they have a chance to beat top 10 in the Spectacular? They're going up against that match. They're going for the gold. Could JTE end the year with a championship? Lost his title shot against Mark and I when we had the titles. He lost his title shot against Riley. Can he end the year with the belts?
His therapist would love it if he did. But I'm telling you, top 10, Roca, Nos, those are machines. Snyder and JTE, hubris, I say, will be their undoing.
What a fight that's going to be. And look, going into number 1, it would be myself and Mark Ellis. That's clear. We were the champions. We won the Ultimate Schmoedown title. We've said we're going to step back for a little bit right now. We're sitting at 4-1. Whoever loses the match between top 10 and Patriots would clearly jump into that number 1 spot. We're there right now. If we decide to do another battle, we could take it if we want to. But like I said, we're probably going to step back and let the league kind of form.
That sounds good, and you guys got 4 wins, and I just hope you haven't been shell-shocked into submission. You two are good, you're great competitors, and I don't want to see you lay back too much, because it's also fun when you guys start to nip and fight each other on the show, too, as well.
We'll see what happens in 2017. Never say never. It's certainly a possibility. And a few words about the champions, top 10. John Roca and Matt Nos have had a great run. They did really well. They were the favorites to win that tournament in 2015. Yeah. JTE and Finstock at the time upset them, and now Roca's got some chance of redemption here against JTE in the Spectacular, so we'll see if he can get it done. All right, let's move on to the singles competition. This is where the league has formed. We have a lot of great competitors too. There are certain people that have not made this list now, and it was tough cutting them out. But you got somebody like Elliot Dewberry, who's 1-1. You've got Andy Signor, who's 1-0, but hasn't had a match since in May, I believe it was. And then Sasha Pearl Raver, who also 1-0, beating Kara Warner. Not making the cut as top 10, but certainly in the top 15, they are in there. So let's start with number 10. Number 10, I think there's some people out right now that think this guy's the number 1 contender after his first match, and that's the Beast, William Bibbiani. Single record holder now. He scores 23 points in his debut against Mark Andraco, who scored 20 points. People love the Beast.
Well, you talk about Andraco. I think Andraco at 0-1, strength of schedule and strength of game, he could be on this top 10 list for me, even though he's lost a match. Bibbiani reminds me of someone, say, like Brock Lesnar showing up in MMA after leaving another kind of industry, and after one match is right away put into title pictures. Bibbiani, definitely he's the real deal. I've seen him compete elsewhere. He is the Beast. He relishes that role. He is scary.
He's really scary, and people are already calling him the heir apparent to Dan Merle. Well, we'll see, but that's he's got a road. He's not going to have an easy road. He's going to have to play some of the top contenders, but I think 2017 could be the year of the Beast. We'll see. Coming in at number 9, someone who probably won't be on this list for much longer after his match coming up in a couple of weeks against Sam Levine is Finstock. Finstock is 2-2 and has been just hovering around this top 10 list since he's been holding on to that win against John Schnepp and a close, almost victory against Clark Wolfe. So he's fought to be here. He's 2-2. but you got to assume his time is done in the top 10, right?
He is like one of those old baseball players who won an MVP, won a title, but he's still hanging around as a designated hitter. I think, and I'm surprised that there hasn't been like a legal reason that he's been removed from the list or something like that. I think he has a fighter's chance of coming in, making some waves, and moving up. But I'm telling you right now, Finstock will never see gold in this league again.
No, well, you're not even the chance, you mean? Because he's never had it. Yeah, because I think his days as competing close to it is done. I mean, he's definitely not going to do it with Mokuga in the teams. And against Sam Levine, good luck to you, my friend. Coming in at number 8 is the inglorious one, Sam Levine. Sam Levine was someone that we thought he was going to be in this league. We thought, again, champion. He's going to be the reigning champion. We saw what he could do on the Schmoes No Show with just the game. You put on the headphones, you listen to clips, he knew it right away. Trivia has shown to be a different thing. Both of his losses, to be fair, have come against both Wolfe and Mark Ellis, who wound up winning the entire tournament. So his losses, he has been playing top-tier people. You got to assume he's going to destroy Finstock, and then what's next for Sam Levine?
A guy like him who started favored and maybe slipped down the list because of some losses,
right.
Is someone that, again, is going to be overlooked, but also that means some of the pressure is taken off Sam now. It's a great way to get back on the horse, is beating Finstock, and then I think he can start to move back up. I still see him at one point getting into the title picture.
There's a lot of new competitors. He better start that road quick as this thing gets hot and heavy. Now, number 7 is myself. 3-3, 3 knockouts. I've had a bumpy career, Ken. I've had a bumpy career. In my 2014 tournament bid for the championship, had that Blue Fairy loss to Joshmokuba. I'm going to get my shot at redemption at him pretty soon. But look, the match against Andy Signor, it was a tit-for-tat battle. Andy wound up winning it. And the John Roca match, I scored 19 points. And Roca got the best of me. So look, I'm thinking maybe as a promoter, I sit back, maybe I have my match against Mokuga, I see what happens, but I've said this on Twitter, if I lose this match, I think for the good of the league, I have to hang it up. Not against Mokuga, nothing against Mokuga, just the fact that I think there's more people coming in that I don't want to hog up the questions.
Oh, what a good promoter. You're not like Vince McMahon giving yourself the WWE title at age 54 or Vern Gagne holding it for years in the AWA. But I'll tell you what, 3 knockouts, you're good. You remind me a little bit of Luke Skywalker in Jedi. The Emperor's looking at you going, you want this, don't you? And you're like, nah, I'm good. I want it. I don't think you're done, and I think you come back again. A little time off's all right. Let's get your head right.
I gotta see how this match plays out with Mokuga before you never know. Number 6, clear candidate for Rookie of the Year is Jeff Snyder. 2-1, 2 knockouts. Now Jeff Snyder has an interesting match coming up really soon against the newcomer, but not newcomer to the space, Chris Stuckman. He is going to be taking on this icon of movie reviews here, Chris Stuckman, who is a larger-than-life personality. The fans cannot wait to see him, and people just think automatically that Stuckman's going to have his way with Snyder. Because if you look at Snyder's 2 wins, El Miambe, who didn't even watch a match and wasn't prepared, and he got knocked out because of it. Snyder is always prepared. And Jason Inman, who again in singles has just been okay, so he hasn't had a top-tier opponent. Will Stuckman be that top-tier opponent?
Stuckman will. Here's where I look at though Snyder has an advantage. He is a passionate, controversial character at times.
I would say.
And I think he has an ability to possibly get under Stuckman's skin and knock Stuckman off his game. I know Stuckman knows movies. He's an author. He's written books about movies. He's not just a movie reviewer. He's a filmmaker. He knows this stuff, but can you get inside Stuckman's brain and tip him off that teeter-totter? It's possible. Snyder is a beast as well.
All right, then number 5 is the classy one, Wolfe, who has had an interesting career. It would look like she was the shoo-in for Rookie of the Year. 3 straight victories, takes away Joshmokuba's title shot, takes away Finstock's title shot, takes away Sam Levine's title shot. She was taking them all away, and then she got her title shot, and that's when it started to go downhill a bit, because then she lost to Dan Merle pretty handedly, and then in the tournament, she was beating Mokuga pretty easily, and then Mokuga had one of those Mokuga runs, and winds up upsetting Wolfe. Hasn't been in singles since and has been sticking to the teams that's been doing okay for her. Will we see Wolfe make a run in 2017?
I hope so. Yeah. Because Clark is very important to this league. It's very important that she comes in here and competes well. She's got a lot always riding on her shoulders. And I've seen her kind of out-psych herself sometimes. I've been at other places hanging out with her a day before the competition, and you can see in her face that she's so wrapped up and so feels the pressure sometimes. If she can calm herself down, if she can kind of find a zen way to approach these contests, I absolutely think Clark Wolfe will hold gold at some point in this league.
I mean, she came from, at one point, being that rookie kind of, how does this work, to almost being like a seasoned vet. She's been in 2 team matches. She's been in 5 singles matches. So she is a vet at this point, even though it's her rookie year. All right, number 4, the guy who holds the most matches of all time at 9 matches, the wild man Joshmokuba at 5 wins, 4 losses. He has never been knocked out. He has his 4 losses. Listen to his 4 losses, where they come to John Roca, Clark Wolfe, Mark Ellis, and Mark Riley. Those are 4 big opponents. I mean, he's beaten JTE, he's beaten Clark Wolfe, he beat myself, and he beat you. And he also beat Bonnie Somerville. So those are his 5 wins. Joshmokuba is a guy that you can't look past him.
You can't write him off.
No.
I've wanted to write him off.
You
A lot
can't.
of people have wanted to write him off.
He's never been knocked out.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah.
He's the wild man. He dances. He takes his shirt off. But Joshmokuba is in this space for a reason. Never underestimate the wild man.
That's why I can't do it. His next match is against me in the rematch. I either set him back or he has one of his miracle things and he shoots back up for a chance to get at that title. Mokuga is not too far away. He beats me and he's got a chance to really get to that belt. And number 3 is the former champion, Mark Yodi Riley, who has a huge match coming up here at the Spectacular against John Roca. Riley has been, to be fair, shook. He was a dominant. He was Mike Tyson. He was crushing people. People thought no one could beat Mark Riley. Dan Merle did it. John Roca did it. And then he didn't beat Elliot Dewberry very easily. Mark Riley, do you feel the same way that I think the pressure's gotten to him a little bit? He's been spurting out answers. He hasn't been thinking. It's been a different, rattled Mark Riley.
I've watched him early on in games almost not have his head in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know where that's coming from, much like with Clark Wolfe psyching herself up before matches sometimes. I think Riley gets there and maybe gets a little rattled, but I still think 1 more victory, 2 more victories, he's 6-2 now.
Well, if he gets the win, if he wins this match, he plays the winner of Merle versus Ellis.
7-2. If that's impressive, and he should still be considered.
Can Mark Riley beat John Roca at the Spectacular?
I think he can. I think there's a lot riding on it, and Mark's going to overcome that pressure. Roca is tough, though, for a reason.
And speaking of which, number 2 is John Roca, easily one of the biggest, the Stone Cold Steve Austin of this league, if you will. He has become a force. Started out disastrous, 0-1. That Bespin gaff almost ruined his career. He's never going to play ever again. And since then, beats Mokuga. Then he beats Mance in the rematch. Then he beats me. Then he beats Mark Riley. And then he narrowly loses to Ellis in the finals. So he's having a great run right now. If he beats Mark Riley at the Schmoedown Spectacular, we're going to see Roca finally, we're never going to hear the end of it, but he's finally going to be able to get that shot against either Ellis once again or Dan Merle. So is the Outlaw for real?
The Outlaw is for real, and here's why. No other competitor in this league. Everyone wants to win. Everyone takes it seriously. I don't doubt that. From William Bibiani showing up, he wants title, he wants blood. You want it, Ellis wants it, everyone wants it. But for John Roca, victories are life.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes knock you off your game, put too much pressure on yourself. But for John, he overcame one of the worst moments. The Bespin thing will haunt him forever until, or if, or John probably thinks when, he gets that title.
He seems to be a big game player, meaning even though he made the mistake against Mance in the first match, ever since then, final question against Mokuga. Final question against Mance. Final question. I mean, he goes to the final question and he gets it every time. And then the number 1 contender, Mark Baby Carrots Ellis. Now listen, man. He's talking about someone who isn't taken seriously because he's cracking jokes. He hasn't lost a match this season. His only loss comes back in 2014 against JTE in the tournament, where he pitched a perfect game, bet the wrong amount of points because he underestimated JTE, and he still got the question right. He was perfect in the game. So Mark Ellis wins the tournament again. He won last year's tournament. If he beats Dan Merle for the title, he's Player of the Year, right?
Absolutely. Mark is a legend. Sometimes even myself, I just look at him come out in a devil suit showing his moose knuckles, and I just kind of get lost in that. You know, I forget. Right. He is. You're right. He's baby Garrett's Ellis. He is a monster. He is a guy who knows so much of a lot of different genres of movies and prides himself on knowing pop culture trivia. And that might compensate for even areas of weakness that he has. He is a well-rounded threat.
Well, he's going to be able to test how much of a threat he is because he gets his shot at the gold against the champion, Dan Merle. There he is, Dan Merle at 4 wins, no defeats, 3 knockouts. Dan Merle, right now, is the best, I would say, of all time. I mean, the guy, first match against John Campea, who clearly knows his stuff and had his way with him. Second match against Scott Mantz, beats Mantz pretty easily. Third match, he plays Mark Riley for the title, wins the title in his third match, then beats up Clark Wolfe pretty big, and then you get his match now against Mark Ellis. That could be 5. If he can beat Mark Ellis, he is going to tie Mark Riley's record for 5 straight victories. He will tie Mark Riley's record for 5 straight victories without a loss. He will be the only champion to ever defend the title twice. Dan's the best if he beats Mark Ellis and is Player of the Year.
Dan is a legend. He is a quiet editor in the back of the room who's slowly worked his way up to the spotlight. A spotlight I still don't think he wants. I think he is comfortable being the man in the back. I've been in rooms with him in countless movie fights victories, and he just withstood the showstopper with Alicia Malone showing up and surprising him for 5 questions. Boom, won. Close, but he won. He just focuses, and now here, if he goes 5-0, 5-0 in this league where you're seeing everyone chipping away at each other, and he has that title, oof, I don't know. He could ride off into the sunset.
He could. You never know. But we're going to find out at the Schmoedown Spectacular. It happens on December 23rd, but there's a lot of matches coming up leading up to that. I always post on both Twitter, if you want to go over to the group that you guys started, the Schmoedown, the Movie Trivia Schmoedown page on Facebook. The schedule is over there. You can always find all of these things. Make sure you follow Ken at Ken Napzok on Twitter, me at Kristian Harloff, and tell us, what matches are you looking forward to? Who are your favorite competitors? Who do you want to see who hasn't gone yet? Thank you guys very much. We will be back on Tuesday with a team match. It will be Team Wangers versus the Mega Powers. Who do you think is going to win that one? Have your debates, and we'll see you next week.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.